let's take a look at the filter section of the Yamaha CS-50 because it's quite an amazing filter section. Usually in analog polysynths, you have a low pass filter. In the Yamaha CS-50, you have a great deal more than that. Let's start off though. First, this filter is 12 decibels per octave, and that's common when you have more than one type of filter in your filter, which is the case in the CS-50. It is not only a low pass filter, but it's also a high pass filter. And in combination, you're able to create a band pass filter. So this is a very diverse filter to have on a polyphonic synth. And it's very exciting to be able to have resonant high pass on a polyphonic synth, especially from this era. So let's take a look. Okay, we have the low pass filter all the way open. So we're hearing the 100% of the signal out of the oscillator, but we can bring that down. We also have resonance. It does not self-oscillate. So when we push the resonance all the way up, we're not going to hear that self-oscillating sound that we hear from a lot of 24 decibel per octave filters. So it has a nice resonant effect with its filter. It's just not going over the top into self-oscillation like you'd find in, say, an MS-20 or a 24 decibel per octave filter. And here's the cool thing, it also has a high pass filter. So you can get those really thin, edgy sounds by taking away your low end. You have a lot more ability to shape your sound, and especially when we start adding resonance. Here's a trick that people often overlook. People look at 12 decibel per octave multi-mode filters and they say, well, they're just so thin and they don't have much bass. Well, if you take a high pass filter and you turn on the resonance all the way, when you have that filter all the way closed, that resonance is focusing at the low end of your filter. So as you bring the filter cutoff point up, you're actually emphasizing bass frequencies. As you can hear right there, it's got a bigger low end. Before it gets into the high range where we lose the low end, at first we're actually emphasizing the low end. And if we take off the edge, the high end of that with the low pass filter, you can hear it. There is an emphasis. Listen to it without. So you actually can add some bass depth to this. And also, well, I guess this is as good a time as any to dive into this. The Yamaha synthesizer, people at Yamaha weren't happy with just this resonance and filter cutoff. They actually gave you an overall resonance and filter cutoff, which actually they've named resonance and brilliance, which allows you to emphasize the filter effects even more by turning up the resonance. And then you can play with the brilliance, which is a filter cutoff, an overall filter cutoff. So you can really hear a bass boost then. But for now, I'm going to turn those back off. So in addition to this, the fine folks at Yamaha have done something sort of strange. They've given you a ADR envelope for your filter, and they've given you the ability called the attack level, which is basically your envelope amount. They also have what is called the initial level, which is like a secondary amount that sets where the voltage actually starts. It's a weird way of doing things, but it allows you to have a variety of ways that the envelope affects the filter. By using them in tandem, you can get a more diverse way that the envelope is implemented. And I mean, that is a very uncommon filter sound, especially for a polyphonic. And it gets even weirder when you start messing with the overall resonance in Brilliance. We're clipping. The cool thing about the Yamaha CS-50 is that it is actually possible with all these settings to actually overdrive the synthesizer itself. And so you can tell with the filter like that, with the standard low pass filter and a high pass filter, and then the band pass filter effects of using them together, plus two different ways to institute the envelope and an ADR envelope, you can get a really diverse amount of sounds from this thing. That's only, this whole time I've just been using the sawtooth wave. Now you add in the square wave with pulse width modulation. With all of the crazy stuff that is going on with the harmonics as a result of the filter, and just all of the massive variety of effects that you're generating in the oscillator, it is a really thick sound that is possible from the synthesizer. That's why when people say, oh, it's only one oscillator, they're kind of missing the point. If you listen to that, there's a whole diversity of sounds. There's a neat low end, there's a sort of foamy midsection, some brilliant highs, and then the various modulations that are taking place. It creates a really, really different, but really, really usable sound. And also you can create all of the standard polyphonic synthesizer sounds as well, in addition to this. But having, 4 layers of pulse width modulation, etc., it's just capable of so much. And having, a further filter cutoff called Brilliance and further resonance. It has a really unique and different sound when it wants to, and that's why it's such a useful tool and a great filter.